Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day in the market. Oh my goodness. And just eruption off the data that came out, which we're going to go into. I hope your portfolios are looking green. I mean, I know I enjoyed watching mine go up. So, I mean, good day in the market for everybody. Again, hate to say, I mean, bears got absolutely pummeled once again. I mean, this is looking almost like a V-shaped recovery. But again, we'll get into the charts and the data, really important data. But understand, we kind of saw this coming, right? Because Sunday's video, I put this out here. I said, this pattern on all the mega caps is setting us up for a large move. Did you see it? And remember, it's my favorite pattern, honestly. And it's a ascending triangle where you're setting higher lows and you just keep bumping up because you can't get higher highs against a certain level. And then finally, they just erupt, right? And you saw Microsoft, Apple slightly busted out of this. You had Google's the only one that didn't, because why? They're going to break them up. Yeah, right. And then Amazon, of course, same thing. And they're all going into a gap, right? And then Tesla had the same thing going on. And so that's why you see this huge move up, because just an explosion, and kind of being held back like a stampede, right? And looking at what caused it. Initial jobless claims. We talked about if it comes in under, right? Everybody's, oh my God, we're going to recession. Unemployment rate's going to 5%. And again, where they're cooking the books, who knows? Not about us. It's how the market reacts. The market goes, that's great. We had less people file for unemployment. Wonderful. Okay. What else we have? Oh, sales. We're still spending. I told you guys that, man, I went to a mall last week at 2:30 on a Thursday, and when I saw it packed out, a mall now, to get my son some cleats for his football season, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. And plus, just coming back on vacation, if there is a global recession, somebody forgot to tell the Europeans, because they were all over San Francisco when I was out there, because I like talking to people. So that's why I know they're from Europe and where they're from, especially from Germany, by the way. I don't know much about Germany. I thought their economy wasn't doing that great, but it must be doing better than I thought, because if I'm paying that much to go out there, I can only imagine what they're paying, right? But this is the biggest bump up since the 2023 year, about a year and a half ago, I think it is. And so, of course, they love it. Now, not all the data is great. Remember, we're in recession when it comes to manufacturing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can see still in contraction, minus 0.7. It was better than they thought, though. They thought it was going to be minus 6 for Empire Manufacturing Index, but it was minus 4.7. So, again, see the zero line? Okay, I'm going to zoom in for you. That's contraction. Been in contraction for quite a while now in different parts of the country. You guys in the comments, when I ask you about it, you're always saying, I work in manufacturing. It's terrible. Okay. Home Depot's telling you that. People aren't spending. People aren't doing home renovations, all kinds of different stuff, right? Now, and you can see it right there when we're in contraction. That's what it looks like. Now, looking over here, you can plainly see Philadelphia Manufacturing Index. Guess what? Minus 7. It came in worse than what they thought it was going to be. Okay. And when you see it, that is called contraction, folks. That's exactly what that is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So again, no matter what seems like where it's at in the country, manufacturing sucks. And you can see as I zoom in, again, below the zero line, you're in contraction. Okay. The only thing holding it up is services, and that's usually barely above where contraction is. Now, here's the crazy thing. You get all this data, this big move, but what do you see here? I told members to do a whole video on this, why this is important. You see the amount of rate cuts go down, and the market goes, heck yeah, it zooms up. Well, that's weird. I thought it was all about the rate cuts. But you see right here clearly, this is September. This was supposed to be a 50 point basis rate cut, right? Went from 55% chance a week ago down to 25. The 25 basis rate cut went up from 45 to 75, and the market loves it. There's a reason for that. Again, if you remember, make sure you watch that video I put out today. Now, looking at November here, so we skip October, you can see the same thing. So now, less percentage of rate cuts, and the market's like, this is fantastic. That ought to tell you something. Okay, that's a kind of a flag to look out for. Now, I told you if we break this level right here on NQ, we were going to fill this liquidity fast, right? Well, it did take 2 days, and so hopefully that was fast enough for you. All right, so that's, one prediction, at least it did come true. I'm happy about that. Now, when you look at it, again, you got to find your liquidity. A lot of people still to this day don't believe it ain't about liquidity. I'm like, okay, whatever. Do your thing. Now, I marked these little lines out here. I said, if we break the one to the upside, going up. If we break this one to the downside, it's going to open a lot more downside to the other liquidity. And you can see overnight, they tried breaking above it, failed. News comes out, and look at this rocket ship. Just rockets, okay? That's why I like higher time frame levels, especially if I can get a 4 hour on it, it's even better. But what I also tell you, I've told you many times, when you see a rocket ship like that going into a fair value gap and you're getting no reactions, do not try to short it. You're going to get your face ripped off, okay? When you look over to the bottom here, when it was first coming up into that stuff right there, you saw reactions. This right here, it was just gone. And people kept trying to short and short. I know people that are down thousands of dollars trying to short this thing today. And I admit, I only lost $100 because I was only trying. I tried it one time with a mini or a micro, excuse me, and I was done. And it was almost at the very top when I tried that. I waited patiently all day. But you see this? This is when you're okay. You see how it's having reactions once it gets up into that imbalance or a fair value gap, which I've talked about many times. That's normal. When you see the other thing go, just get on board and ride it, because don't try to short it. You're going to get crushed. I'm telling you. I showed you many examples, but this is one of them, okay? Whether you agree with it or not. Now, what can we see happen tomorrow? There's 3 scenarios here. One is that level right there on the 4-hour chart. Obviously, we can move up to that, get rejected maybe. It's not that far away, okay? And then maybe come down from there, but that's going to be a big level. Obviously, it breaks above it. There's more liquidity to the left, right? So if it gets above it, especially if it comes above it, retests, and goes, then yeah, it can take that liquidity out as well, and that would be even cooler. But you can see there's a lot of liquidity below, and not only that, there's actually an inverse IFBG right there on the 4 hours. You can see now what can happen is 3 different things here. One is move down overnight into this, right? Boom, find support and go. That's one thing that can happen. The other is come up either overnight or in the morning, right? Because we got no news really. Come in tomorrow and do this deal right here. Okay, reject, come down, grab liquidity, move back up. The other is when it comes to these kind of setups, this can be support. Okay, so we don't even have to go in here. All right, we'll just put SUP for support. And so either way, whether it's at open, overnight, whatever, come down and bounce directly off of it and don't dig into it at all. So I'm watching for these 3 scenarios, but right now bulls are in charge until said otherwise, okay? But I still expect some liquidity to grab down at some point in time here, okay? Just like we've been doing. Usually it's been overnight somewhat though. In the daytime we're just running. Now, looking at SPY, what do? We got above this. We talked about a channel. Some people said, no, it's a bearish. What was it? We talking about a bearish pennant we had on there was the other alternative. I said, no, you got to wait and see, right? If it moves the top of the channel, it's a channel. Okay, so it moves the top of the channel, not a bear flag, nothing like that. Closed above the trend line, not the full body of the candle, but it did close above it. Okay, so that's actually not a bad thing. Now, will it be able to hold it? That's what we got to find out. That trend line is very important. It goes back to October of 2023. Okay, so it's been there for quite a while as support, resistance now, and so we'll see if it can hold or not. Again, there's no kind of data coming out tomorrow that's going to push us down. You do have OPEX coming out, that's for sure. And what we'll do is we'll start marking out gaps and everything, because God knows there's been a lot left behind on the way up. Those don't have to fill. There are gaps above us as well, so we'll mark those out just in case. But again, when you're coming down and you're going up, all you're doing is checking the list, right? And checking it twice, okay? So we got above the 100, above the 50, filled this gap, filled that gap, all that fun stuff. Now we're above a trend line. We'll check that box off, right? Or closed above it, okay? And so that's all you're doing. Same on the way down. When you're breaking, right, and you look for those retests, you're checking the mark, see what we've done on the downtrend, okay? That's why you can stay calm if you just kind of keep it in that viewpoint, I guess, in a way, right? Instead of listening to these fear-mongering idiots out there, you know, trying to tell you the world's coming to an end and they're finally right once every year. And again, don't mean we ain't going back down, right? This could be an absolute bull trap, which I showed you yesterday, okay? Now, looking at the Qs, what do we got? We're checking boxes, 200 bounce, right? We fill these gaps, we get above this shaded area, boom, we get above the 100. Now we closed above the 50, so we're just checking boxes. Again, there's another gap, we'll check that as well, okay? We are at an interesting level in the Qs because we're at the golden pocket at a resistance area, and we're just right above that 50, so we could easily drop back below. And so this is definitely an interesting time on this fib retracement here, right? Now, what's right above that fib retracement, though? A gap. Well, we know about gaps. They can move, they can fly right on through it, right? Because there's no resistance there, so you can just fill the gap, okay? And so, and we are still, whether people like it or not, bulls are in charge right now. At least that's what it seems to be, all right? And so, again, all the momentum indicators are starting to turn up and everything else. All right, we already talked about that early on this week. If you didn't see the videos, go back and watch them. And so we'll see how this wants to move overnight and then what we're going to do in the morning. Now, looking at IWM, something very important happened today. Can it hold? That's what we're going to see. Look at this. It gapped up and got above and closed above the 2024 high, which I said will be a beast to get through unless what? It gaps above it, and that's what it did. Personally, don't like the fact that it gapped above it, but that's what it did. Again, checking boxes above all 3 moving averages. It's in a gap, so technically it could move. But what's interesting about this is I just showed you what's not moving the market right now. Interest rates. Yeah, they're looking for a cut, but the less cuts, the better. That's what you would think when it comes to IWM. But that seems to be what's going on. But really what's happening is I think all these recessionary fears have kind of went away somewhat. And it's not like small caps have great earnings or anything, for God's sake. So, that's not what moves this. So if you start to see calls start to flow back in, I think that's what this is going to need. It's going to be like a Tesla move, right? And these calls will start moving in here, start pushing through this gap. So 217.23, that's going to be the level to watch if it can even close above that. But make sure it stays above a 2024 high. Now, of course, what led the way as usual? Semiconductors. Again, why? Because they were the most beat down in the sell-off, down 30, 40%. So they're getting bought up like crazy every single day, right? And when you look at just a couple of these, again, NVIDIA, in a way, it was building market structure, and then it kind of just started taking the escalator up, right? So, filled that gap we talked about yesterday, sitting at a resistance level. It's above all three major moving averages right now. Got a gap above that if we can get through this level right here. I think a lot of people would pick probably as a top before earnings. I'll be surprised if it does get above this. 128, 131, somewhere in there. But when it comes to this market, because what's happening is the big boys, big money is selling, like every day they're selling puts, and they're trying to collect premium on these moves up. They've done it on NVIDIA, they've done it on the Qs, they've done it on SOX, so everything, you name it, AMD. And so they've been collecting that premium like crazy. And so, we'll see if this can power through that. I like to see a pullback personally to the little shaded area right there. Now, AMD is another one, right? This one actually got stopped at its weekly 50 moving average. Okay, that's what stopped it in its tracks right there after another huge move up. And what's funny about this, do you see that right there? I was surprised to see this today, a death cross. A death cross is when the 50 crosses the 200. I was like, wait a minute, a death cross? Yes, that's a death cross, right? Now, again, I'm going to wait one more day to make sure it's a full death cross. It's like I did with Tesla when it was a golden cross, right? But you can see that was a fake out right there. The last time it happened was 2022 crash, but you see the angle of it? Big difference. Here, right here is, I think, more what you're seeing, right? Where it had a death cross, it may have sold off some right there. Only went down by another 13% afterwards. And then it came up, had a golden cross, and started moving back up. But I think this looks way more similar than what 2022 was. But again, you see others where it did it and it dropped 33%. So death cross is not good. I was surprised to see it, but it's just the way this stock is traded. And these are way more accurate on indexes than they are on stocks. I showed you that with Tesla, right? You have a golden cross and the thing would drop like 10% after the golden cross. So we'll see how it goes. You can see the 50 is trying to turn up and the 200 is pointing up. And so let's just see what happens here if it gets to its the weekly 50 moving average first. Now, Tesla, big day, almost 7%. Why is that? Can you guess? Yeah, it was the sweeps, right? Call sweeps rolling in. This is just a smitten of what was rolling in. But they were rolling in all day, just pushing this thing up. So no surprise there. A lot of call options coming in, getting bullish right there. And when you look at this one, it's sitting there above its 50 right there. And remember, this is the one that had the, golden cross. Okay, so that's still in play right there. As a matter of fact, we just said it wouldn't go straight up. We had the golden cross, and it sure didn't, right? And so this one's getting above the shaded area, but everything's about that trend line, right? The trend line is the trend line to trend line. So if you can get above that, close above it, especially get a retest, then you're going to talk about a real move in Tesla, all right? Because you've seen every day you go, yeah, it's going to be great, and then it gives it all back the next day. Oh, yeah, it's going to be great, and it gives it back the next day. It's one of the most, I find the most hardest stock to actually chart, believe it or not, because it's just all over the place. So we'll see if, again, it's all about the options market. That's all you got to look at, okay? Now, Amazon, we talked about this one. Again, it was in that ascending triangle. It busted out and got in this gap. And we said if it gets in this gap, good chance it's going to fill it. The gap goes around 182, 182.50. And the reason why it's going to stop there is because there's the 50 and the 100. It's going to be a brick wall for it for sure. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Hopefully, if it does get up there, it hits it, comes back down to that first shaded area right there, and then bounces from there. A lot of people are picking this one. I would love a test of the 200 again. That would be great. But a lot of people are picking this one to get back to all-time highs, which is kind of funny because in a way they're thinking, well, is it a recession-proof play? Because people do shop online, they do grocery, they do all kinds of stuff, right? Kind of like a Walmart in a way. And they got the cloud, right? And so we'll see. Let me know what you think about that one. Now, Shop, just a quick update. We said, I told you if it gets past the 200, it gets in this gap, it's going to fill it. And so far, we're almost there. The gap is 76.15 to the penny. We're at 74.85. Once it gets there, though, I'm expecting a pullback because of what's going on with the fibs and everything. When you pull up the fibs, again, you get these major fib retracements. And the way it's moving up, it's taking like an elevator up, right? Which I hate more than anything else, honestly, unless you're in some options moves. Because usually when it takes an elevator up like this, it's going to take not elevator down. Somebody's going to throw you down the elevator shaft. So, but again, that 0.79 lines up with the top of the gap. And that's usually where you're going to get a good rejection. So be careful on that one, just an update. Now, again, with this move, what are you seeing? RSP, the equal weight ETFs. Look at this. That thing's taking an escalator up, I guess you could say. It ain't stair-stepping, that's for sure. You know, just big moves. So breadth is coming back in there. Okay, QQEW up for almost 2.5% today. Again, that one's moving, running to the 100 moving average. We'll see if it can get any move up. So, but you do see other stocks getting bought up. You see all those stocks that are getting beat down, getting bought up right now, right? When people say, oh, we're not in a recession. Okay, cool. You know, maybe I will buy some Nike or something, right? You're seeing the bond spread. You're seeing, look at this. This is the volatility in the bonds coming down. And what I tell you on Sunday, as if this continues to come down, you're going to see a major move in the market, and that's what we're seeing. Okay, that's exactly what we're seeing. And look at the VIX. Wow, thing is down. I think it's down 78%. But we talked about Sunday about getting under 20. If it gets under 20, market's going to go hard, and well, that's what's been happening. So, you know, and it's down major. Now, when it comes to news tomorrow, again, nothing big. You know, building permits, housing starts, consumer sentiment, you know, that kind of stuff, but nothing like we've seen here. And again, it is OPEX, so, you know, we could see some funky monkey stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind. So, you know, let me know how you guys did today. Any questions for Saturday's video, put them in the comments, please. Please hit that like and subscribe button on your way out as usual. And please let me know if you mind these faceless videos versus actually seeing my ugly mug. I will make an appearance Sunday for sure because I got a rant to go on and see how many of you guys agree with it, because I'm going to talk about at least 3 minutes, 4 minutes about it for sure and get on my soapbox. But anyway, hope you guys got something out of it, and I'll see you guys Saturday.